Welcome to WomenInTech podcast. Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to WomenInTech. I'm your host, Dayla, and this is the space where we keep it real. We can talk here about our dreams, doubts, and challenges we face as we step into the world of tech. So today's guest, Padmasini Dayananda, is multi-award winning technology leader with over 24 years of global cross-industry experience driving digital transformation, social sustainability, and strategic business growth. She's a certified social value practitioner and grow advisor, working closely with organizations to embed social equity and purpose into their technology and business strategies. This is the powerful dive into what it means to lead with the vision and how tech can become a catalyst for transformation. So sit back, relax, open your mind, and get ready for a thoughtful, practical, and empowering conversation. Padmasini, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Dahlia. It's my pleasure.
How do you feel? How is your day after the flight?
Yes, I've just come back from India, 2 weeks in India visiting family. Actually, it feels like a holiday today. The holiday was so busy. But yeah, at least the weather is good in the UK. So that's a plus. So all charged up.
Amazing. In Lithuania it's a bit raining, so I'm a bit jealous for
I
you.
just escaped. Yeah. I just came back from 38 degrees sunshine. So I won't complain.
I love sun. Okay, let's dive with the secret question. What's something people usually don't know about you?
I would have hoped it would have been a happy answer, but generally, I have a chronic health condition called ME/CFS with fibromyalgia that I never spoke about my entire 24 years of career for fear of bias, and I regret that. So now I advocate for awareness of the same, so other people with similar challenges don't need to suffer silence and fear besides the actual painful condition that they're enduring.
Wow, I never hear this kind of condition. Do you mind to explain more in deeper level?
Yeah, of course. So fibromyalgia is where you're constantly in pain. Your every fiber of your body is in pain. So my good days are when I can tolerate the pain, and the bad days are when I need to take a painkiller. And there are people who are quite bed bound because of it, but thankfully mine is not that bad because of a lot of alternate therapies I go through. And chronic fatigue syndrome, or the CFS, ME/CFS, is something I acquired 8 years back after a really bad flu. It is where it's an energy limiting condition, wherein a person can have, all of us normal people, when you do an activity, if you go for a run or you do a lot of cooking, you go for a party, you sit back and you have a cup of tea, you sleep, get up, and your energy gets stocked up. But
Yeah.
people with this condition have limited energy, which doesn't get regenerated at the same rate. So I would assume I have, say, I will call it 12 teaspoons, like so many teaspoons of energy, and I need to manage everything within that. So if I am going to have a shower today, I will say I can't make dinner. If I have to go out to the park with my child, then I have to come back and lie down for rest of the day. If I have a social event, then I have to be in bed for 3 days. So this again can be mild, moderate, or severe. There are young kids, even 12 teenagers who are bed bound versus people who are also able to be functional like me. But yeah, it is an invisible disability. People don't see it. Many times when I say, people say, oh, you look good, you do so many things. But social media is deceiving. They don't see the times when I'm actually in bed trying to recover for
Yeah.
a week or so, just because I decided to go out and play in the park with my daughter. So small things in life become hard when you have this condition.
Thank you for your sharing because honestly, first time I can hear that, and I'm just admire you because I believe in these days we not consider how much energy do we have because we just wasting usually all the time just for wrong people, not important things. And sometimes for myself when I'm going to the event, I'm back in my bed for sure 4 hours because it's exhausted. So it's like for you have to be very thoughtful where you direct your energy. So
Yes. Pacing is the biggest technique and which brings in prioritization. So my life has become more meaningful. I really have to decide what's important and where I invest my time. People I spend time with, I like to spend time with people who bring that positive energy. Well, I feel energized rather than going into a big party because it's the place to be and you don't, or you have a FOMO and you feel drained and you're in bed for next 1 week. So I don't go to those. So it is mellitus. I look at it as a blessing to in my life to put my energy and focus on things that truly matter. And that clarity has come in early, rather as having spent 50, 60 years and then you realize, gosh, I wasted so much of time on things that didn't mean anything.
Yes, it is. How is it? I'm not saying that it's blessing, but it's give my for me impact to be more concentrated. And by the way, thank you so much for today that you are here in our podcast.
Yeah, I'm glad too because I, as I said, I know spoken about it. And when I was in a job, I always thought people would decide that I can't do something or they will not give me opportunities. What will people think about my, if I say I have a disability? So I never spoke about it, though I was leading a lot of inclusion based activities. Now I think about I should have created a platform and a safe place for others to share. And that's what I do. And I work with this charity called Astrid, which supports people with this condition to get back into some form of normalcy and acceptance.
I think you're doing an amazing job, and you need to speak about that loudly because I believe some human beings don't even know that it's existing. So this is need to be aware and how to deal with it for that person who have it. So it's kind of they need you. Do it.
Absolutely. Awareness is the first step to empathy.
Okay, let's get back to your past then. How did your career journey start?
It started in India in very similar times of tech uncertainty, just as it is now, the AI led uncertainty we have now, but it was called the Y2K boom and slump. I'm not, by just saying this, I'm disclosing my age. If you're people from my generation would know, when the year 2000 was coming up, the whole tech world thought it is going to be an apocalypse because will the computers be able to handle 00 after 1999? So there was a huge hiring campaign running everywhere. They thought all the codes have to be redone, etc. So I was hired by a large tech firm in my third year of electronics and communication engineering. It was called in India, it's called campus hiring. Companies would come to reputed universities and conduct tests and interviews and offer a conditional start date when you finish your course. But by the time I finished, the boom had turned into a slump. The computers proved to be smarter than we expected, and Y2K was handled when the IT job market crashed. I was one of the last lucky ones to be invited to join as per the offer letter, and that was the beginning of my career.
Okay, a house it looks very normal and stable way to enter the tech world.
Yeah, so what is happening now feels very familiar.
You didn't start from totally different industry, so it's kind of
Yeah.
okay. So how everything later on went out? How you get your second job? How do you get in that real tech practical way of the company? To do your task, or how I say it. What are you doing at the moment?
So I stayed with the same company which offered the job with when the college, in the university. I stayed with that for 24 years. So my first job was my last job too. So I know it sounds unbelievable for people, but I have no regrets. I had the most amazing career. And as we go through this podcast discussion, I will touch upon different aspects of it. I did more roles in my 24 years in one company than somebody who would have changed 9 to 10 companies to have the same level of experience and exposure and opportunities. But fascinatingly, I joined with a lot of reluctance. I didn't want to be in IT. So it was like somebody has come and given you a job, right? And you're looking at the salary and it looks cool when you're in university. That's a lot of money. So, but I didn't want to do tech. I thought it was nerdy, it was lonely. I'd be just sitting at a desk and typing away. Whereas I like to work with people, I like solving problems. I don't want to be in tech, right? That was my mindset then. But then I said, somebody just offered this to me. Why don't I just go and experience it for 6 months, 8 months, and then I quit and go and do my MBA or business administration, whatever it is that I wanted to do. So I just joined tech industry to have a taste of it. I didn't have any preconceived notion of what I wanted to do and didn't want to. It was like a open canvas for me. Let me go and try this. And at that point, software testing or quality assurance, as we call it now, was in its infancy. It was just getting started. All my friends avoided it like plague, right? They all were computer engineers and they were like, gosh, we have computer engineers and electronics engineers and we will only do coding. Testing is beneath us. I had no such qualms. I tried it and I enjoyed the challenge of breaking code. My friends would be spending hours and the team would be developing code for hours. They'll send it to me. I was only one doing testing and it'll take me 10 minutes to say, oh, this is not working. Send it back. And I said, oh, this is so cool. Breaking code is so much fun because to break code, you need to understand the end user behavior. You need to understand the entire the play of that particular application. What is it expected to do? You need to understand the business. And I had all the time in the world to do that because I would just wait for code to get delivered to test it. So I explored and did a lot of this learning on my own. And I was the first few to join the testing business function in the organization. It was a handful of people. But since I spent so much of time, within few months, I became a subject matter expert on that application. And just when I was finishing 6 months in that job, our client in the US said, we want a tester sitting here in New Jersey and testing it before we deploy it into production. Who was available? It was just me, because by then I was the only one doing testing and I knew the application. So 6 months out of university, I flew to America. And that kind of set the tone for my career. I worked there for many years, leading teams, working with clients. I was involved in the requirements discussion and the next version of the product. So I think that was a defining moment that shaped rest of my career trajectory. To be open to exploring, to say yes to opportunities, even if you don't think you're 100% ready, and having that sense of adventure. That's what I think, defined my entire career approach.
Okay, wow. It's now I understand why it's 24 years. Yeah, you stay in one company.
Yeah, because I started off as a
Yeah.
quality analyst, but if you see my LinkedIn, I went on to do consulting. I did large scale program transformation. I set up transformation frameworks, did business development across Europe. I did sales and marketing. I did product development. So I tried everything that came
Yeah.
my way. And rather than saying I don't know, I would say let me try it and learn. That uh, whereas if I had to change an organization, I would have to prove that I know that before I get in. Whereas here, I had a great organization was letting me, had the confidence in me to go and explore, and I could do well. I learned on the job. So yeah, that has been my entire span or spectrum of career.
Roadmap. How is it? The first thing when you're telling how is it that you spend all these years in the one company, it looks like you how is it just that momentum. It looks like in the one position, but after your story, you can see that it's international, it's different positions. It's nothing about the routine. It's nothing about what you know. It's always constantly growing your personality, your skill sets, and on the different spectrum. So this is amazing. I believe so. That's why you spend there that many years.
Absolutely. I always wondered why I did do my master's or post graduation. What I did was I invested in certifications and learning depending on what I was doing at that point of my career. So if I just need to go back and see what I've done, I did mobile testing certification. I've done PMP. I did Prince 2. I've done Agile. I just kept building every year. I'll invest in myself in learning something new and certifying. So 24 years and you have equal number of certifications with it in terms of, so rather than learning and then doing the job, I would take the job and then learn and get myself into an area of expert.
Yeah, this is the thing. I have as well many certificates and houses. I believe that when you are a quick learner, you catching up the algorithms, and then it's easier for you to do things, because when you are in that situation, you no other ways around, you have to catch up the key things,
Yeah,
and then just go dive in.
absolutely.
Okay, so what kind of key moments or realizations help you get to where you are today? How is it in general?
I think the three, one of them, what I just said, was where I got into the organization. The second one was when I moved to the UK. So I moved to UK. I did work in the UK and the US as consultant, etc. Would come work for 3 months, go back. But then I actually moved here in 2013, and that time I ended up with a bully of a boss with my client's place, because I moved from information media technology vertical to banking. And for either I might have stepped into somebody's role that they asked, but somebody else wanted to get it. I don't know what the politics behind it was, but the guy, the boss on the client side, just didn't like me, right? And he made sure that he demeaned me, put me down. He would get my work checked by a graduate and a graduate who was on an internship. When he was on leave, he'll ask the graduate to run the meeting. He would challenge me on team meetings, and it was, I just couldn't get my head around it, because it's not like I had not worked in international locations, and I had by then 13 years of experience in the industry. When you're in that situation, you don't realize that you are actually being bullied. Only when you step out do you. Now when I look back, I realize it was a form of bullying, and he was undermining me. And within 3 months, not 2 months of working with him, my self-confidence had dipped. My health had gone down. I was doubting my own capabilities, and it took me a while to step back. And that's when I had a mentor. I always had mentors at various points in my life. And the mentor said, you always have two choices when you face a bully. Either you stand up to the bully or you walk away from the bully. Walking away was not an option because I was assigned to that project. So I had to stand up to him. So I went and spoke to my organization, my company boss, and said, I'm going to stand up to this guy. And thankfully, the boss said, you should do what you need to do. So, yeah, so I just took him to a meeting room, and he was, and I said, I directly asked him, so what's your problem? We need to talk this out. This is my credentials. You bring some skills to my table. I bring some skills here, and together we can actually have a very successful project. But if this is not going to work out, then I need to know what's the problem. He had never been challenged, I believe. He was shocked. He's like, I don't have a problem. This is what you did, and I will not be accepting this behavior going forward. And from then it just changed. There was mutual respect for it. So that I always tell people that there is a lot of, in this case, there was conscious bias, but there was also unconscious bias. A woman of color who has just come from India, what is she going to do? I need to make sure she understands I am the boss. That was the whole message. So you got to stand up for yourself. You need to realize when you're bullied, and you need to watch out how you're responding to it. So that was a big learning for me, a key moment in life. And from that point onwards, the message I carried through was, no one tells me what I can and cannot do. I decide that for myself. And I would tell all women, don't, there's enough people to tell you what you can't do. Oh, you can't travel that far. How will you manage with your baby? How will you work late? How will your family cope with you? Are you really sure you want to be the CEO? Will you be able to manage? These are questions that only women face, right? And when I faced this question, I was actually pitching for a role as a business development in Europe. And I knew this role was open. I went to my boss and asked him, can I apply for the role? And he just laughed. I don't live in London. I live 2 hours away in the south coast. And he just laughed and said, how will you even fly to get to Europe, by the way? And that completely put me off. And I said, I may take a boat or I may take a tractor, but that's my problem, right? I'll figure it out. Can I apply for the role? Again, he was stunned. He didn't realize it was a bias that he was talking from. If a guy had gone up and asked, he wouldn't have asked the same thing, but he asked me. And he said, yes, you can apply. And finally I got the role, and I have an airport half an hour from where I live. He didn't know the geography of UK because he was not from here. But those are the points where I decided, don't tell me how I should do my work. You give me the job. If I don't deliver, yes, you ask me. So yeah, I would tell women, don't let anyone dictate what you can and cannot do.
Have you ever faced self doubts and imposter syndrome and how you were dealing with them?
Yes, I think all of us face imposter syndrome, but I don't think it's because of us. That's something I realized, and my book now that I'm working on is that it's not you. It is, and you don't have to fix yourself. But when I first faced it, it was the same situation I just spoke about. I'd moved to UK and I'd moved into the banking and financial industry, and everyone made it sound like, "Gosh, how can you do this in the new vertical? You don't know anything about banking." And I said, "My job is quality delivery of the product. All of you have," and I did feel very intimidated because the documents had terms which I didn't know about. I was like, "How will I answer these?" But at the same time, I had done 10 different projects over the last 10 years. So I knew it was just about learning, and I knew I can learn it. But by the time I learned, people shouldn't perceive that you're incapable. In this industry, perception defines you. Though people say, don't worry what other people think, that's everywhere else. But in this time and age, perception is what defines you. So I had to make sure that I pick up on the subject matter expertise. So I told my entire team whom I was leading that I bring in this is my skills, right? I'm going to lead the project strategy. I'm going to make sure we have a delivery plan. I will be leading these discussions, and I want to learn from you. You bring the experience within the banking industry. If I don't know something, I will ask you. And they loved it, the team, right? That vulnerability, expressing what you know and what you don't know, and that you're open to learning. The team was so supportive. And you get those 3 months when you can ask those stupid questions. What does this terminology mean? And they will say, this is what, okay, go read it, Google it, learn about it. And I found a woman mentor in the client place, and I had the same discussion. She was the CIO, and she had to decide whether I would lead the program or not. And after my experience with this guy, my confidence was low, and my imposter syndrome was at its peak. But still, I went and pitched to her and said, what I bring to the table, I don't think anyone else here has that. I have cross industry, cross geography, and subject matter expertise in quality assurance. And I have worked with these teams that are leading the projects in India. So I bring something which you can't get here. So give me 3 months time, try me out, and let's go from there. And I worked with her for 2 years after that. She wanted me on the next program as well. So imposter syndrome has to be taken head on. You need to understand what is driving your imposter syndrome and nail it. If something is telling you you're not good enough, become good enough. Don't let that saying you're not good enough and hence I've missed this opportunity. So address the imposter syndrome.
Okay, so how's it? It's wonderful to listen to you because you went through that and you know how everything you sorted out in that situation. But another point where which I'm curious, how you're going through the difficult times. What is helping for you?
Lot of support system. So the difficult times usually comes in threes, they say, right? If you have challenging things at work, you'll also be coping something with at home. So though I had worked in the US and in the UK, I had always come and worked as a single person, right? I didn't have kids then. I was single. But when I moved to UK, I had moved with my daughter, and I was commuting to London 4 days a week. That was about 3 hours by train, one way, door to door. And my daughter was struggling in school, and my husband is a doctor, so he had long hours as well. So I was juggling all of this as well as the works. I was dealing with the bully, and the whole thing was new and overwhelming. And the whole question of why am I doing this? There's a strong temptation to pack bags and go back, right? Because everything was going so well back home. And so I went back I chose a mentor. So I had a mentor in India. Now the mentor in India had certain perspectives, but I knew I needed a mentor here with whom I could bounce off ideas. So I actually just randomly reached out to somebody whom I had heard a lot about and I thought could provide the guidance at the senior level. And he was able to quantify and put it precisely in terms of what are the areas I need to focus on, how do I navigate this, etc. So one is always having the support system, finding a mentor. There was also a lot of open conversations at home in terms of dealing with what's going on, and by having that buy-in, okay, we give ourselves another 6 months. to deal with this, and we will take more support. So there was a time when I was earning to just pay for childcare, I think, right? All of us have gone through that. You earn to run a support system. So it was investing in myself. And I also got a coach. So that was a very expensive coaching program, but I wanted that additional tools and skills to navigate this new role and the new country and the new culture. And that was the best investment. So I think it was investing in myself and in my career and in my personal life to overcome those difficult times. And I still do that. Yeah, I'm always asking for help. People feel asking for help makes you look weak, but no, actually asking for help opens up the door for the other person to offer help. People love helping. Don't we feel good when we help someone? So I always say ask help, and people are always there to offer that, and you'll always reciprocate it and pass it on.
I believe that, strong and weak, dependent and independent, everything is inside, supposed to be in one soul. It has to be a balance. And this is the hard thing to understand when you are going through difficult times.
Definitely choosing a mentor requires a lot of thought, and I've seen many women attend these webinars, etc. They're very impressed with person they're listening to, and they aspire some guidance from them, but not hardly people actually reach out to them. They always feel, oh, they're beyond us, oh, they're so senior, they're so famous, they're so popular, they must be busy. You don't even ask, right? Sometimes
Yeah.
I always say, just ask. By asking someone to be your mentor, it's a compliment. You're actually appreciating them and telling them, I admire you and I would like to be in a place that you are in now, and I would seek your guidance. And there can be only two responses to that: yes, or sorry, I am busy. But either ways, you've established contact. I think that is the first thing, why you have a sense of, I don't deserve it, or these people are too good for me. And hence, we don't reach out to people. So the mentor I reached out here when I was a guy I had never seen, I had never met, but he was very senior. He was a senior vice president. But I had heard so much about him, and a lot of decisions that the teams made were based on his guidance. And that always was impressive because he kept people and project and technology in view when he made a decision, which was very important for me. For me, people were very important. The team was important. And I felt that was something I could relate to him. So I just randomly wrote to him. I said, we haven't met, but I've heard a lot about you and I would love to seek your mentorship. It'll be maximum an hour a month. I understand if you can't accommodate. And I didn't hear from him for like 2-3 weeks. That was okay. I had asked. After 3 weeks, I got a mail from him and he said, I'm sorry for the delayed response. I always wanted to mentor someone, but I never knew where to go or how to get started on this. I'm glad you approached. I'm happy to be your mentor. And he helped me through some of the most difficult times of transition from India to UK into the industry, etc. So ask, and that makes a huge difference. And if it's and there is always something you can take from the relationship. So you sometimes go into a mentorship thinking, I want A, B, C, and D. This person should tell me exactly how to get promoted in 6 months. This person should tell me how to solve this problem. And then you get disappointed because I'm not getting those answers. But if you go with an open mind
Yeah.
and start the conversation, you will see that the person brings value. A mentorship relationship is a mentee driven relationship. And hence, you can direct it any way you want and draw value out of it.
It is. And when you're saying that in the social media, usually they look too busy or something, and my experience saying the same thing as yours, usually when I want to learn something, I just found the top leader, which aligned with my energy, which I admire, for example. So I'm asking, and I don't care how it looks on the social media. I know this is the same human being as we all, he or she wants to help. So usually, even it's 3 weeks for me as well, 2, 3 weeks to get back to my message. And
Yeah,
it's okay. Everything it's okay. But usually it's positive message that it's okay, Delia, come on, just jump on the board and start
yeah,
learning new things.
absolutely.
So it's like, who is listening? Don't afraid to contact who you admire. You will learn for sure something valuable. I believe so. And just
Yeah.
write it. Don't think, just write.
Yes.
Just message.
It doesn't cost you anything.
Actually, this is it's no cost at all. No cost apply. Okay, for example, for a woman who just starting, what would be the very first step you would recommend?
Keep your learning hat on. Be your student self all the while. Be ready to dive into the unknown, experiment, fail, learn, and grow. Don't have preset ideas of what you shouldn't do, or this is how it will progress, or should be the outcome. Try with a sense of adventure and excitement, because tech is that one industry which is open to all. You don't need to know someone or to be in a tech industry, unlike so many other industries where you need to have some kind of privilege. Tech is, if you have the brains, you are in. So be ready to, what you need is that guts to take on the unknown, because tech is evolving so fast and you need to be agile to go along. And how do you stay agile? By being a student, by continuing to learn. So keep your learning hat on.
Okay, do you know what kind of usually challenges women usually face in the tech industry?
It's quite unique, the challenges women face in tech industry, because women have a seat at the table today. Compared to most industries, you'll have a lot more women leaders in tech, but not enough. But all of you listening to me today, and who are women leaders, women in mid or senior level, do you feel heard or seen or acknowledged for your ideas? You feel you're working harder than ever before, taking on more responsibilities. You find yourself delivering your best, exceeding expectation, which just doesn't seem enough to deliver the growth you aspire for, because tech has got such a great tangent, right? To grow, you can be at those power tables where the decisions are made, but you're not getting there and you're burning out. You don't even realize it. So I've had been there, and in a bit I'll talk about it, where I had a panic attack and collapsed at work, not even knowing that it was a panic attack or I was stressed. I didn't think I was stressed. I thought not sleeping well and thinking about work in my sleep and solving my Excel sheets and making presentations in my dream was normal. I couldn't take a deep breath, and I thought that was normal too. My breathing was so shallow. I had migraines, such a brain fog. At one point, they always thought I was pre-diabetic. Getting out of bed in the morning was so much of a hard work. It was just hard to get. I never felt rested. But you keep going, right? So that is burnout. You don't call it, because you have normalized it. The stress, you work 14 to 15 hours a day, and that is just work. You're also managing your family, etc. And you're battling guilt of not being truly present for your family, while work is not being acknowledged for the effort you've put in. So I think what women are facing is aspiration. You have aspirations because the tech industry has the promise for more. You just need to be there and you need to ride that wave, the uncertainty wave right now, and you would be at the top of your game. But it's something is holding you back. So I think the challenge women face in tech is the struggle to be heard or seen and acknowledged for your work and have the deserving growth that you aspire for.
Do you think it's kind of this situation for me, like which one is the first, chicken or egg? You know, it's kind of, or you have to be asked or you have to be become. It's like which one is supposed to be first?
Yeah, absolutely. Because we talk about imposter syndrome. Now, that's there across, even if you are in a health industry or any industry. But in the tech industry, you are constantly feeling that you're not doing enough and you have to learn more, or you have to fix yourself. When I came at one point, I remember I was in this huge leadership program, which had people from all walks of life, very prestigious. It was a residential program. And we were having this wonderful discussions at the table. I would express my idea and everyone would look at me. And once I finished speaking, they would all turn back and continue as if I said nothing. And this happened over 3 days. And I came back thinking that I need a speech coach. So I actually hired a speech coach to change my accent, because I felt I was not being heard. Maybe I was seen, but then I came to know a few, or it took a prodding from one of my mentors to understand what was different. And I realized there are only 4 or 5 women in that leadership program. And I was the only woman of color as well. So there are lots of biases in play. And I thought I had to fix myself. I didn't have to. What I needed to know was tools to navigate that. So in the next time I went for the similar situation when I would share some idea at the table, And after a few seconds, my male colleague would say the same idea, and they'll be like, almost like he's discovered gravity, right? Wow, that's fantastic.
I hate this one.
So instead of just letting it pass and saying, "Oh, I should have said this better," so I would actually draw the attention back and said, "Looks like you really like the idea I shared, and I'm glad that my colleague here agrees." Reminding them that I did state that idea in the first place. So I brought the conversation back to me, right? I had to put in my personal power to navigate and bring that conversation to me and make my presence and voice heard. So you don't need fixing. What you need is the tools and strategies to navigate the systemic barriers, right? Whatever is there in the system, in the community, where women in tech, because you have a seat at the table and you have bigger tables to be in, I think we need to have those skills and tools in our kit to get to that place. What brought you here? The same things will not get you there.
Oh, yes, you can't solve the problem with the same level of the consciousness. You have to grow up for sure.
Yeah,
I believe at least 75% ladies who will listen you, they will partly find themselves in your storytelling, because I found myself back in the days, it's like, oh yes, I do remember.
absolutely.
I'm just curious, what mindset shift made the biggest difference in your growth? Because, as you say, you had a lot of mentors, but still, what is the main mindset shift? That key one which lead you into today's life, probably, which you were seeking.
The two main mindset shift. First one was what I said. I don't let anybody tell me what I can and cannot do, and that I stick by it. Right now, I'm an entrepreneur, setting up my own business, and there are lots of people who tell me it is very daunting as a woman. You should go back into corporate. I just cut those conversations off, right? It is nobody. You either tell me how to do it, or you don't tell me how not to do it, or tell me how not to do it, but don't tell me I shouldn't do it. And the second one was, I deserve my growth and I will invest in myself. So that was the biggest change in my life, where I went out and got these kind of specialized programs and coaching and certification. Not just the certifications, but things that will enhance my ability, enhance my profile, enhance my brand. So I had that strategy done for myself about where I want to be and how I get there, and which means I would have to invest. So I was talking to one of my clients recently and said, if you want to climb Mount Everest, there are two, and you aspire to be at the top of that peak, there are two ways to do it. One, you can Google, get all the manuals, find out how to do it, put up your own training plan, look at people who have already done it, get all the knowledge, and you practice yourself. Yes, you can do that. Or you find someone who has done it and
Yeah.
you go to that person and say, and the person has done it multiple times. He or she knows what can be done, cannot be done, and have filtered it down to a clear plan. You then go and train under them. So who is going to have the faster outcome and the most promising outcome? Who is going to get to the peak first? And this stays with me, right? I can forget to any point in the next 50 years, or if I want to do it in 1 year, I need to invest in myself. So that I learned, I think, 6 years back. And since then, if you see my LinkedIn, my career would have completely changed in the last 6 years. From my first award in 2020 to, I think, 2019 to now, it has been a conscious journey in terms of industry recognition. And we do deserve recognition, right? And we should not be embarrassed to talk about our achievements. And nothing wrong in being ambitious. Ambition is seen as a obscene word for women, right? So they think, oh, you're aggressive. No, you deserve to be ambitious, but you can be ambitious with a plan, with a strategy, and by investing in yourself. So yeah.
Yeah, usually people mixing that recognition, the need of the recognition. From one side, it could be bad. How say it, if it is the fuel, is the anger, how say it, low self-esteem, then it's yes, it's how say it, not good sign. But if it is everything is healthy, you deserve that, you earn that. Why you not take your medal?
Yes. Exactly. And aspire. So I like this HSBC ad I saw in the airport yesterday. If nothing is holding you back, where would you be? Where would you want to be? If nothing
Yeah.
is blocking your way, where would you want to be? And that is so powerful. Even when I dream, when we aspire, women put these blocks there. I want to work in this organization, but it is
But always, so you can eliminate what was before but.
but I can't do this, or this won't work, or that won't work. Yes, it may be true, but there's nothing wrong in aspiring and having the vision and then sitting back and saying, how do I get there? Yes, there are barriers. Yes, there is baggage. Now we have women have two parts to us. We have barriers in front, which is the systemic barriers, and we have baggage on our backs, which where we have been told by society, by culture, by our families what we can, what we cannot do, what we deserve, what we don't deserve. This is just enough. You should focus on a family. You should be happy with what you've got. So we carry a baggage. So you're bent low all the time. I always have this vision, right? You're having a big backpack, really heavy backpack, and you're walking towards the mountain. But thing is, when you say, where do you want to reach? You look up like that and say, there. But thing is, you're only seeing at your eye level. If you drop your baggage and stand up, you see the true peak. And I say, wow, that's where I want to get to. And I'm passionate about that. I feel women need to drop the baggage, and then you can look at the true vision where you want to get to, and you have the clear ability and clarity and confidence to navigate the barriers in front of you.
It is. How is it? Very right sentence, I think. The baggage and the barriers.
Yes.
So this is how we grow up. So yes, we have to eliminate because it's kind of. I remember one exercise. It's like about the train. Who's going with the wagons. I think so. Yeah,
Yeah.
one wagon is expectation. In another wagon, it's like someone is depending on you, and in each wagon, it's something what you are carrying
Yeah.
inside. So just let's imagine that the train without wagon, without all that emotions, can you just release them and just go to the mountain,
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay, that one is good. That one is good.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think every woman should have the opportunity at least to experience that and understand that they deserve and it's okay to aspire for more. And that beautiful big vision that is their potential.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so what would be your advice for your younger self then?
I won't change a thing. I was thinking about this question. I think every experience I have learned so much. Only advice would be maintain a journal. I would have loved to go back and read it today and remember a lot of experiences and maintain your network. Your network from the day you started work, even before from your university school days, your network is your power. So I think I was not very good at maintaining that in the early days. We didn't have LinkedIn those days. It was more of mobile numbers, etc. And I've lost a lot of the really good contacts. Do maintain your network, nurture your network. This world will be a place driven by your networks. Your career will be dictated by the networks you have.
How are you doing that? How you nurture your network? I'm just curious. Because now I hope so that I'm in your network now.
Of course, definitely. This is actually a session I do for my clients, and it's fascinating. So, you draw a network map. And I did this as part of the residential course, as told you. I think it was 5, 6 years back. And in that, you actually see, you put in all these factors, right? You start from school. If you've worked in multiple companies, you put in all of that. And then you'll also have others where you entered go into courses and you meet new people. And within your organization also, you would have connects of, you'll work with HR, you'd have worked with recruitment, and then you start plotting names. You draw this big map, and over the next month, you start dropping in names there. You go into your LinkedIn, you search people, you have contacts, but you have not been in touch. You populate this whole aspect. And then you'll also see where your gap in the network is. I don't have anybody in podcasters, maybe, right? And now that in this, I didn't need that in my previous job. I was not into social media. I didn't need podcasters. I didn't But now I might be looking at, oh, who are the podcasters? Who are the other coaches? Who are the board advisors? So those would be your gaps. So depending on which phase of career you are in, you will have to expand your network. And this mapping gives you this clear vision of where you have strong points and where you have weak. Then you leverage your strong network to fill in for the weak network. You talk to people you know in this network who may be CEOs or they may be heads of units, and you talk to them and said, have you been to this? I saw this interview. You went to this interview. Do you know this person who did this interview? Can you introduce me? So you go in a structured way. So the last part of my three module coaching is about elevating your brand, and it doesn't happen overnight, right? You have a strategy, and part of that is network as well. So you work on your network, you work on the perception. How are you perceived in your industry? So Dalia, how are you perceived? Are you seen as a woman in tech? Are you seen as a podcaster? Are you seen as an industry leader? How would you like to be seen? Right? It's very powerful. In the early days where your network and what people thought was just people in the office, this was not a thing. People would, by word of mouth, say, I went to this meeting and this person was impressive. You can call her here. But now the world is your oyster. How do you want to be seen in that world? You can define that and you can build that brand for yourself. And you leverage your network to build that brand.
Wow. Wow. Listen, I believe our listeners got just the free session. So I'm thankful for your insights. And I believe that for each and everyone gives that rethink energy that, okay, what I'm doing with my network, because usually it's like, okay, daily, one more thing to do. Yeah. But now it's like, okay, let's switch a bit perception and try again. So it's kind of, I believe I'm not the only one. And the last question, not the last question, I think so that we going to the end of our podcast. Even we was planning for 30 minutes, but as you can see that it's much more. So how you can help to people, where people can find you, what you can provide them, and how you can guide them. So do you want to share your events, books, or courses?
Absolutely. So what I've done is I have filtered down my 24 years in this industry into this program called as Quantum Ascent. It's a accelerated leadership for women in tech. The reason I've done this is, as we just talked about baggage and barriers, you would have gone for lots of trainings. Organizations will give you trainings and they even have coaching programs. You come out of the program feeling very energized and saying, today I'm going to be this, do all these fantastic things and I'm going to achieve. But look back and life gets in the way once in a month and you're just doing the same thing again. The reason is that we have a lot of self-limiting beliefs. That is the baggage. And we need to explore and drop those first. And that timed with some lasting behavioral and habitual changes. You work on the baggage, you remove your self-limiting beliefs, you work on your habits. With these two combination, along with all the other skill sets like the networking, your branding, 12-week plan, then I give you a 90-day plan. We work together to achieve your goal in 90 days will give you that lasting change, not just for you, but for your organization too. So that is what I do in this program. If you're just interested in having a chat, I'm launching the first cohort for this year because I was busy with my India trip, etc. So my last cohort was last year. So this year, I'm having the cohort start on July 1st. If you're interested, we can share the links after the podcast. You can check me out at Transform with Padma. And I have actually filtered all of these down into a checklist, which you can get free on the website. So if you just go and download the free resource, that'll get you started to think about what you want and what's holding you back, etc. I've done a survey. There's a survey link too to understand what's holding you back. I ran this survey for my information, but I got so many women coming back and telling me it made them think about how many factors holding them back. Because most of the time women say, nothing is holding me back. I'm doing my best. I'm there. I'm doing my job. But when you go through those questions, you realize, oh, actually, I think about this and I think about this too. So yeah, so if you would, and since Dahlia has hosted this podcast, I want to make sure your audience get that extra value. I've opened up 5 free spaces for the listeners to join for an exploratory conversation to understand your self limiting beliefs, what is your big vision, and what is your barriers you perceive. So it's a 30-minute session. You'll not get to all of that, but we will look at these three aspects and take it from there. So I look forward to talking to some of your listeners, and you can check me out online on LinkedIn. Just Google Padmasini Dayananda and you'll get a glimpse of my career and the program Transform with Padma.
Amazing. We will share the all links you send me out, and I will make sure that everything stood out, in the post and in the blog section. And I hope I can take your material and share with our audience. So, how's it? I will give your all value as much as I can, because I'm really happy that you're doing that, and I believe so that for all women we need to support each other, and I'm very grateful for that extra bonus for Muse in Tech podcast.
Absolutely. So I would look forward to inviting a lot of you into the Her Circle of Influence. That is the cohort name, and actually it'll help all of us to flourish personally and professionally, not just survive day to day, but actually thrive and enjoy life and enjoy the journey. Taking care of your health. I've gone through a lot. I've told you I'm chronic, and a lot of it is inflicted by stress,
Yeah.
and you deserve better. And only thing you can change, especially if you're anywhere near 40s, 35, on 30 and above, time to take care of your balanced life.
Yeah, because the energies become probably a bit limited, but again, because of our baggage about our perceptions. So this is kind of would release the energy. Anyway, thank you so much. And the last curious thought: which three books change your mindset the most, and why? Because I believe that you had a lot.
Yes, my three books: The Tipping Point by Malcolm Gladwell. I like it because we tend to give up just when you're nearing our outcome because we're tired, we lose hope. That book is, especially now when I'm an entrepreneur and starting and running my own business, the temptation to give up when things are hard is there. And that book tells you to keep going, right? To understand, take data to understand that there is a tipping point. The second one is Midnight Library by Matt Haig. I generally like all his books, but I love Midnight Library because we make so many decisions in our life and each takes us along a different path. If you take a decision A versus decision B, you don't know where B would have taken us, but you've taken A, right? And we tend to spend a lot of our time regretting, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done this. I should have taken option B. But the book says that eventually we will arrive where we are meant to be. So don't regret any choice. That takes away the fear of choices too. The third book is Tuesdays with Maury by Mitch Albom. I just love that book. It is in all levels. It's emotional for business, for students. It's just right for everyone. But one message I always take from that was even if you're a mail sorter, mail in America, this is based in America. So in America, the mails are sorted at the basement of an office and then used to get distributed. So that is the place where junior most staff is. And he says, if you are a mail sorter, be the best at it. And I took that with me. So even if I was asked to do, after 10 years in the career, I was told to do a status report, a collator report for a team. And I could have said, oh, that is very demeaning. I should be doing bigger things. But if I'm doing that report, if I have to collect from 10 people, I would still generate the best report. I put my heart into it. So, and that has helped me through my career. Whatever you're given, do your best at it. But that book is more than that. I would rate it as Tuesdays with Maury first, Midnight Library, and then Tipping Point by Malcolm Gladwell.
Wow. Okay. Thank you that you're sharing. I hope so. At least audience get that insight where they can find the answers. Sometimes when you smell the book, when you feel the book, when you
Yes,
can go deeper there.
absolutely.
Okay. So it was truly wonderful to have you here with us. Thank you so much for amazing conversation.
You're welcome. It was my pleasure. I loved the conversation and your insights into it. As I said, every relationship is so mutual. I have learned so much from you. So thank you for having me.
Thank you. For rest of us, if you enjoyed this episode, please like, share, and subscribe. Or even better, invite a friend who might need some inspiration. And don't forget, follow Muse in Tech for more real stories, practical tips, and encouragement. We are here to support you in your tech journey. Keep believing, keep taking micro steps, keep building, and keep shining your light. And until the next time, my beautiful souls. Bye. Thanks for listening, beautiful souls. Don't forget to like, follow, and share, and visit us at museintech.com. Until next time.